Hello, YouTube. It's been a while. That's a great way to start, isn't it? This is Problematic Boy. Finally, the new Torchlight season is out, so the content window is up again for me to do some things. And I don't particularly feel like making a video, but I feel like I should make a video because Bleed has been renamed to Trauma, and it is fixed. I will say before I go into the showcase of this character, which is, the build that I play, pretty much every season I've played this build, even when it was bugged. Um, there's a current bug uh, that your Flame Spirit or Flame Magus will reset your affliction. And that was happening to me, and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? Because I wanted the crit to get more consistent crits. Don't use Flame Magus because he will reset your affliction, and affliction is super important for damage now. I won't go into details about that. But for those who don't know, in the first two seasons of Torchlight Infinite, Bleed was bugged to where only the most recent applied. So if you're playing an attack build or a build that uses multiple attacks like Leap, Ground Slam has two instances of damage, right? So the first instance, which doesn't do anything, and the second instance, which does a ton of damage. Your bleeds would just be completely inconsistent because the strongest one wouldn't stay on. Now the strongest one stays on like it was supposed to. It was a bug, but now it works properly. So I'll go over the character a little bit. Actually, first thing I'll do a showcase of map. And I also want to preface saying this is a showcase, not a build guide. I don't think this build is very suitable for new players. I think, especially if you're starting it, it's kind of difficult. Let's roll it a little bit. Let's go more. The restore life. And I'll go over my gear and all that other stuff. My gear's kind of scuffed right now with the new crafting. Gear is probably certainly worse than it could be right now, especially considering I've made a decent amount of FE. And the gist of it is at this point, I can just leap through most of it tier 7. I mean, that guy's gonna live. What, an FE back here. I don't know why I chose Blustery Canyon. It's because I like the map, but it's kind of a long map. So we're leaping. We kind of want to try to fish for a crit on our Ground Slam to get our cast on crit. Burst of Anger, there it is. And then I'm stuck on a wall, of course. I'm not going to do the trial. Whenever I do these showcases and I see a trial, I just skip it. Here's this. You do want to do this. Health bar bug. No, it's dead. Leap through the map. Kill the boss. In about one reap. And then I'm gonna do my cube because I love the cube. Let's see. Is he gonna give us anything? No, of course not. And then we're gonna claim our cube tribute to us, I guess. And then we'll talk about some other things. Oh, that guy wants to he wants to get fucked. Let me fuck him. There we go. Let me fuck that guy. Okay, we killed him. Alright, a sip of coffee. Alright, now for the showcase of the build, what gear I'm using right now. So we're using a two-hander because it's easier just to craft one weapon, but we switched to dual wield. I think dual wield's better, even if it's a little less damage, because you get more attack speed. Shut up, lady. Here's the bad news, is that the weapons are bad. So we have this one, which is at 171. We have we have like T3 gear fizz on it. I think it's T3. Please be at least T3. It's T4. And then we have T2, this flat hybrid that gives paralysis chance there. And we have T1 crit damage, some strength, and we crafted on some crit rating. Not the best. Our offhand, we have T1 generic fizz, which is what you want generally on an offhand. We need T1 of this mod, but we only have T2. We have crafted gear physical on because I didn't know what to craft. It doesn't really matter. Trauma damage, really low tier. And then we were able to put on T4 Reaping Cooldown Recovery Speed, which is like a 2% chance to fix craft on it, so that's like really bad. We have a chaotic ending that's kind of insane, where we get agility blessing, we get tenacity blessing, and we get a max agility blessing stack. For clearing the map, this is really good. It's not really great for damage, so maybe that's a thing you could swap out. It's probably also really expensive. Here's just a rain that was pretty cheap to make. Ailment damage, I put on skill cost, it has life, it has resistance, and I put on reaping duration. It's fine. The belt, we need some life regen, I'll talk about that in a second, but the belt flat life regen is really helpful. And then we got some erosion res on it. Here's my boots, they're kind of okay. 93 life, hybrid. We got the judgment target on them. 33 erosion, T1. Okay, they're kind of good. Fire. Praise for injury gloves. I got these really early. I think I spent 1 FE on a level 70 pair, item level 70 pair, and then I spent 1 FE again on a level 80 pair. These aren't even corroded. I should probably corrode them, but basically, yeah, the traumatized enemies explode. That's where we get a lot of our clear from. Here, I have targeted trauma damage on. I have a reap on my amulets. I have Ellie res and I have erosion res. You should probably get affliction effect. I don't even have affliction effect on my rain. What is wrong with me? Okay, affliction effect is good. That's what you need to know. Here we have regen, life, minus additional fizz taken. We get blessing on taking damage, but it's not as important on this rain. Cold and erosion. And then on my helmet, I have affliction effect. I have crit damage. I have fizz taken as fire. There's a stupid one there, and then max life. So that's basically the gear. Ideally, I'm just getting a better offhand first, and then trying to perfect one of them with like an ultimate ember, probably my main hand. That's probably going to be my gear progression. Let's talk about the other things about the build. Hero trait, they made this so that it only drains 10% instead of 15%. You still need regen though, and some regain. I don't degen. I have like 500, I have almost 600 life regen, and it drains 10%, so it's only draining about, well, it's almost draining 500. But yeah, you have to watch that. I'm using Harden and Blind on my burst just for defense. And then we want crit rating and crit damage. I'll talk about that in a second, why we want crit and rage on crit to stay enraged more. Let's look at the talents. Start one of why we want crit is because critical strikes ignore armor. I don't even know how much armor affects bleed damage, probably a decent amount, but 100% trauma damage dealt by critical strikes, that's great. That's basically double bleed damage whenever you crit. I'll do a slow pan here. I'm kind of we may need a second take here because I need to grab a tissue and I don't have a tissue. So this is just a big mess. I'll be at, you know what? I'm gonna leave in the middle of the video and then just come right back. Oh, goodness. What an inopportune time to need to do that. Okay. Well, that's just how it goes. One take, Andy. All right, so I did the slow pan here. What are some of the important talents? This one, trauma damage dealt by crit strikes. Trauma damage, trauma duration. Duration does scale our damage pretty well. What else? You know, get the trauma stuff, physical damage. I took these 3 points up here last, so defense is a pretty good stat. It's just generic defense, and then the chance to avoid damage of 8% isn't horrible. I don't think it's horrible. Shadow Dancer, let's do slow pan. I'm doing a slow pan. Oh yeah, slow pan. So you see what I took. This is a very notable note here. They added base trauma damage to this tree, so it's basically mandatory, I think, to go Shadow Dancer in your setup. You get a Reap as well. Here we're going Ambition to get Fervor rating. so that we crit more. And we're going open wounds, 40% trauma duration when inflicting trauma on traumatized enemies. This does scale our damage because we're using a reap duration god plate. I'll show that in a second. And then 125% critical strike damage against traumatized enemies. This is also scaling our damage. So why is it scaling our damage? Well, let's do a slip hand of Warlock first. Warlock's great. You get Mana Seal. You get a skill level, which really scales your Ground Shaker damage. You get Blur. You can get some free Ellie res. I think it's really great. Life, Regain. Attack speed will make the build feel just better during clear as well. And you get this crit here. Critical strike damage against enemies affected by ailment. That's also scaling. Because we get duration of ailments caused by critical strikes is doubled. So that's double duration when we crit. And then we get 1% additional ailment damage per 3% of critical strike damage. That's additional ailment damage. So whatever we see, 18% critical strike damage, that's 6% additional ailment damage when we are doing the thing. Let's look at our statue here. It's not done yet, but we'll go over the main components. Here is an insane Reap Purification pedigree of gods that I got for like 2 FE. Why do you want Reap Purification? Long story short, you get 80% of the remaining total damage when reaping. And it removes all the target's dot damage when reaping. And you just reapply your bleed. This basically means the more duration you have, the more total damage there will be. So duration opens up as a damage modifier, right? So duration is a viable damage modifier. I don't know if it's worth the suffix. Probably is on like one of the weapons, but my weapons are pretty garbage, so I wouldn't know. And then we have these corners. Here I have aura effect, and I have trauma damage and a reap. Pretty nice. It's only a 2-second cooldown against the same target. And I have a same one here because it has additional damage to life on it. Guess how much I paid for this? Like 5 FE. But these kind of arcs a little bit expensive. I kind of stole this one. I don't know how I got it. But it's basically like an 8% more damage with 30% increase and then a reap. Kind of insane. And then here I just went very defensive on these last two. I try to get damage where I can. Here we have chance for physical damage with like paralysis. I got super lucky with this. I don't think you can replicate this unless you just get lucky. But we got skill radius, which makes the build feel a lot better. And then paralysis is just a 10% more damage. And then this mod is very good because it's 10% less damage taken. Because we're always in proximity to something. And then I got the same mod over here. It also gives 8% Ellie res, which is pretty good. And we have 20% crit damage, which 1/3 of that is ailment damage, and some life and armor, and that's a useless mod. So I could probably do better on these two, but I think these three are pretty great. Especially the minus sealed mana on this repurification one is kind of crazy to get. There's the god plate, if that's even what you call it. Statue of the new god. Let's see. Classic 13-minute video. 15-minute video. Anything else? I went over hero traits. I'm always forgetting something. I went over gear. I went over... Oh, what about the skills? I always forget skills. Okay, so here we go. Ground Shaker. I'll do my usual spiel on Ground Shaker. Why is Ground Shaker good? Because this line, which is the Fissure secondary damage, deals 1100, or yeah, 1108% weapon attack damage, and it scales really hard off of level. I'm trying to get more level. We have a level on our helmet, and then that's the next level details. Okay, so it's very good for bleed or trauma because that's where you want to get one big trauma off. That's the best way to do it. Short in duration because it gives the most dot damage. Deep wounds because it gives me chance and dot damage. Enhanced ailment because it gives the most dot damage. Steamroll because it gives the most ailment damage. And then Cataclysm because 56% affliction effect is crazy. It's crazy good. I've tried other supports here and they haven't done more damage, so that's how that's going. I don't have an earache here, but we're using Resurrection Warcry. Trying to figure out if there's a way I can get instant Warcries. It's not on the God plates, I don't think, but this gives you DR up to like 21%, so it's very good on bosses. I think it automatically does 5 or 6 stacks, so You get a ton of get a ton of damage reduction from this Warcry. Leap attack is our clear. I'm just getting as much attack speed on as possible, and then going precision strike, which I probably shouldn't even be doing, and then deep wounds. I don't know what else should I put here, but it gives attack speed, so I kind of want to put it on, make it faster. Bull's Rage. Let me talk about Bull's Rage a little bit. I know it's 15 minutes, but Bull's Rage, as far as I know, does not actually give you 44% more damage to your bleed. It does, however, give you skill area, and that's the only reason I'm using it. Okay, I'm just using it for skill area. Vulnerability on our main. This is a huge damage button. You turn it on when you want to deal damage. I turn it on doing clear. I mean, it's cost converted, so there's no reason not to. And it's just 20% additional fizz damage that the enemies are taking, with curse effect being weird. I don't know what the curse effect is doing, but curse effect would be good, I guess. Precise acuteness imbue. This was pretty cheap, but it gives you more additional fizz, so you definitely want to get it. Precise deep pain for the affliction generation, and the dot duration, which also scales, and the additional dot damage scales. Very good. And then weapon amp for the additional physical damage and the additional attack speed. Here we have auto defense, frost shield. I love frost shield, and then rejuvenation just to get more life regen so that I'm not degenning when we berserk. Cast on crit, scorching pulse, which will give us a reap, and then burst of anger, which we have on here to give us attack speed and movement speed and stuff like that. So those are the skills. I went over gear, I went over skills, I went over talents, I went over the god play, I went over the hero traits. No, I didn't. I didn't go over my memories and my relic. There's so much that they keep adding to this game. So we have a memory effect and 15% max life relic. And then all of our memories are 6% additional trauma damage, 6% additional trauma damage, and 6% additional trauma damage. With the memory effect, we're getting 8% off of each of these, I think. So it's 24% more damage. It's not very interesting. Thanks for watching, though. This has been Problematic Boy. You can catch me at twitch.tv/problematic boy. What else to say? I'm the savior of bleed, and I'm glad that it is working now. Even though it's called trauma. All right. Bye bye.